Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today, even though we're a bit over a month, we've had another month or two pass. So that means we get another dev diary for Prehistoric Kingdom. And this one is a big one, so I'm quite excited to get stuck in this one. This one's for January 2025. So just starting off the new year, and we're definitely starting it off right. So we're going to have a look through what's brought in here. There's a few updates on some other things, and what's coming in the next update, update 14, but also what's planned for the future. A lot of very interesting things I know you guys are going to love. So let's get started. But first off, let's read Welcome to January Development Diary. It's a fresh year with new features on the horizon. We've been steadily working on improving the animals behind the scenes with work on ontogeny, sociality, and combat for 2025. The thing is, though, we actually need your help. So these don't come cheap. So let's have a look at what's coming on with Patreon and our future. So let's have a good look at this stuff. So, as a niche indie project, development funding can be hard to access, especially through the early access period where most potential customers understandably hold off from buying the game until it's complete. Currently, the majority of our funds are generated during major Steam sales, but revenue can otherwise leave us spread too thin to have the financial security necessary to pay the entire team or commission new work from our artists. This has put us in a tough position, having to weigh our vision of the game against what's financially viable. So yeah, that's one of the classic things of indie development, so PK is definitely nothing new there. We currently have an active team of around a dozen people, all in different roles, with some of our core members voluntarily taking staggered or reduced payment to keep us moving forward. This isn't sustainable, and this is why we're looking at Patreon. So you can see here, help Prehistoric Kingdom help support by Patreon. So by opening a Patreon, we hope to ensure that development remains stable throughout the remainder of early access, and as of this dev diary, we've had 7 major updates left before we can consider the game ready to leave early access. And beyond keeping the game alive, the main benefit of becoming a patron will be access to exclusive polls, sneak peeks, and our weekly development summaries that provide an informal look at what we've been up to. So this is kind of like the perks, paying for a little bit of more access to things, polls and sneak peeks and things. So this is basically the incentive to get you to pay for it. Our monthly dev diaries won't be going away though, but certain things from Patreon will be kept exclusive. So if you really want the exclusive treatment, so of course you got to go pay for the Patreon. If you're in a position to help support the longevity of Prehistoric Kingdom through Patreon, we would be incredibly grateful. We appreciate everything the community has helped us build over the years, whether it was from Quickstarter, buying our game during early access, or even cheering us on from the sidelines. You've helped us this far. You've helped us get this far. Thank you. So, better appreciate that. And yeah, we've all, especially me, I've put some money between up to Prehistoric Kingdom because I'm a VIP and things like that. It's always in support of the vision of the game, and it's nice to feel like the effort that we put in, and they definitely, it's a project of love. Same as Saurian and other projects like that. It's a passion project. It's not just to make money, because it's not making that much money. It's at the moment because it's still in development, but it's something because people want to make it and they want to see it happen. So it's a labor of love, of course. So art book and the official soundtrack available on Patreon. So on a final note, Volume 1 of the art book and soundtrack are now available for purchase as standalone products on Patreon if you don't use Steam. They're also included in suited Patreon membership levels. So yeah, if you want another incentive to go get it, so that's quite cool. And instead of development, so assuming we're able to secure more funding, we've updated our roadmap to early access release with an emphasis on animals. It can't come all at once, but step by step we plan to incrementally improve the animals until they are properly complete. And this begins with ontogeny, which is coming in update 14, which is going to be quite cool. So we got update 14, ontogeny. So update 14 will feature the first iteration of ontogeny, finally bringing baby animals to Prehistoric Kingdom. Using an age slider in the animal nursery, players will be able to grab a preview of the growth of a species and create animals of a specific of a specific age. When placed in the park, they'll grow from a baby to the adult. So let's have a look at little T-Rex growing up. So you can see that little fluffy T-Rex as a baby hanging around. Quite cute. How can you not love that little guy? Actually adorable. I love the little animation there. Brilliant. So let's get rid of that. Here's a sped up demonstration of how growth works using the mammoth as an example. Note there are no model swaps or sharp transitions. Instead, the proportions, shape, and skin seamlessly change over time. So let's have a look at here. So you can see got a cute little baby calf mammoth, and then we can see grows, gets those tusks, and then it grows up. So that's an adult, and then it goes back. So that is real cute. You got the cute little baby mammoth, grows up, you can see the tusks growing, it gets bigger and moves into those adult proportions. Really, really awesome. So that's gives us a good idea of how it's working. Well, let's just let that play again. So no model changes, no nothing. It's all seamless and works perfectly, so that's great. We're still working on the little guy, but here's an up close look at the current baby mammoth. They're certainly different without the massive tusks. So you can see there's a little cutie there. I love the little baby mammoth. How adorable is he? Bloody adorable. I love a baby mammoth. And it's quite good because we have all those frozen mammoth calves that we can use for reference. So that's quite cool. Really, really cute. And to make babies extra cute, as is always the goal with babies, because babies are always cute, especially of animals, they have their own locomotion to make them bouncier and wobblier than the adults, and this definitely makes the T-Rex a little less intimidating. So you can see this is a work in progress again, but you can see how the little baby walking around. It looks bobby, he's more wobbly and bobbly. That's very scientific terms for it, but you can see they're just a little bit more awkward and lighter than the parents are. It looks really, really cute. I'm definitely a big fan of that. And you can see that's kind of a Jane aged one by the looks of it, like a middle aged. Yeah, that's quite cool. Definitely a big fan of that. Babies like those of the cave lion are also especially adorable. We love how these little kittens came out with their soft faces and massive paws. Bet they just can't wait to be king. So you can see with the these are, I believe, American lions and cave lions. You can see how bloody cute they are. I love the skins and everything. The little cute little cubs, they're bloody adorable. How can you not love them? That's so cute. On a technical level, let's go back. On a technical level, we're implementing ontogeny so that upcoming behaviors such as sociality and combat can factor in from the start. It also allows us to observe how babies fit into the gameplay loop before more advanced features such as breeding is added at the end of early access. So that's obviously one thing that's planned. You can see another good picture of these cute little babies there. Look at how cute with the big parent ears, and that one doing her ring. It's very, very cute. I love the little guys. And as mentioned in a previous diary, one of the benefits of this is actually enhanced sexual dimorphism. So this is actually in the pack now, in the latest update. So for things like mammoths, we can stop the growth early to give females shorter tusks, and it'll certainly make herds look even more diverse. So you can see there's a bit of variety there. You can see some quite young mammoths, some sort of like teenage mammoths with shorter tusks, and you can see some females with slightly smaller ones, and you can see the matriarch with quite big tusks. One thing that is kind of you could say kind of a meme among paleo art is that we all give mammoths these really big tusks, but a lot of females that have much smaller tusks, and then the males would have bigger tusks as well. So it's kind of a good idea to show that sexual dimorphism, which is really cool to show off. Definitely a big fan of that. So that looks quite cool. So that's another big thing. Really, really awesome. Do love like these little kittens and little cubs, and then the baby T-Rex and the baby mammoth are all really cute. But we're going to carry on. We've got another cool thing, another really requested feature. We've got first person mode. So this highly requested feature will let players explore the park from the eyes of a human, walking, running, and jumping their way around the park. So you can have a look there. It's not quite, but pretty much. And you can look at the sauropod from there. Oh my god, that is so cool. I love seeing like things from human perspective. It's amazing. I want to watch it again because I just think like you look at that walking around, and then you look at the sauropod. Oh, wow, amazing! I just can't wait to go around and walk and look under my sauropods. It's gonna be so awesome. So we'd really like for players to be able to interact with attractions such as binoculars, and in a later update incorporate basic managerial tasks such as refilling feeders or cleaning dung in exchange for an upfront cost. We feel this would not only increase the sense of Prehistoric Kingdom being your zoo, but provide more active ways for players to engage in the park itself, alongside staff. So basically, this is going to be going back to the old Zoo Tycoon 2, you can play with enrichment and things like that. So I think that's a really cool feature that we get to bring back, because we were able to, hang out with our animals and really enjoy the first person view, because that was one of obviously the highlights of Zoo Tycoon 2 in particular. So it's really cool to bring that kind of thing back. And Planet Zoo, as much as we love Planet Zoo, and I do love Planet Zoo, it doesn't have that kind of mode. The first person mode was pretty much just only a camera that's a person eye view, like a first person view, but you can't interact with much. So I think that's really cool that even both for JWE too, so you can't really do much interaction, but it's really cool to have that kind of style in this game, have being able to go around and play with enrichment and exchange, do basic managerial tasks and things like that, which would be quite cool. I think that's a good idea. Really, really cool. So you can see that hanging around there, so you can see the T-Rex. Actually amazing. Alright, so we'll carry on. So that's stuff kind of for update 14. This is the future, so going into the future. So sociality and herding. So most of the sociality will revolve around herding and how animals will respond to each other. Depending on things like competitiveness or the territoriality of an animal, this can result in social behavior like friendly communication, scaring off competing herds, or running away from threats. Long term, we want to focus on the herd structure and how animals move up and down the ranks, seeing herd leaders challenged in competitive species or animals playfully chasing each other in more social ones. So I think that's quite cool. More dynamic herds instead of like the JWE or Planet Zoo type, where there's basically just an alpha and they all just kind of walk around and they don't, things like that. But they do challenge each other in Planet Zoo, but something a little bit more dynamic than that. What's really cool as well, mixed herds. That's something I'm actually quite excited about. But look at this beautiful picture of the Triceratops. Actually amazing. Really, really nice. Mixed herds are a concept where small species would essentially magnetize to larger ones as long as they're compatible. There's still totally independent social groups, but it mimics the commercialism that you'll find in the real world. So you can see the Drysaurus hanging around, the Brachiosaurus and the Camarasaurus. So that's something that does happen in nature. You can see, wildebeest and zebra hanging out together. Sometimes larger animals. I know a great example was like langurs, which are a type of Indian monkey, and deer. They will hang out with each other just to help better spot predators. Sometimes animals will follow around larger animals for protection. So yeah, it's something that's quite common in nature, and it'll be quite cool to show off. And also you can have these really cool big mixed herds, which would be really awesome. And social behavior or social animation, we just kind of went about there. A question we often see is that Prehistoric Kingdom will have social animations, quote unquote, and this refers to an idea of a highly choreographed or synced animation between two animals, usually showcasing some sort of canned physical interaction. So something like a social animation, pretty much what you see in Jurassic World Evolution 2. But at this stage, we will be focusing on social behavior or animal AI instead. Not only are social animations out of our current budget, but they have problems with seamless ontogeny and individual size variation that can only be solved with a heavy tech investment. Regardless of circumstances, we view social animations as more of a cherry on top and should not be the basis of sociality in Prehistoric Kingdom. Which I agree with. I personally, agree with this, because the Jurassic World Evolution animations are kind of like, each species has an animation, or maybe a couple, where they just, two of them will interact with each other and then they'll go off and herd and do their own thing. I think something like that could be kind of cool. Definitely in Prehistoric Kingdom, but I feel like it's really only just like, look at a cool animation and go off. Like the system that they're describing, I feel like is much more dynamic than just the one animation, social animation, and then they go off and do their thing. Which I think it'd be cool to have a sauropod, rub off on each other, or animals jousting and things like that, which is going to be a little bit of an issue, obviously, when you have animals of different ages and things. Which would be obviously really cool to have. Cool to have like a sub-adult Triceratops, maybe playing with an adult Triceratops in a way. But something that would be quite cool. But obviously the heavy tech investment, and obviously it'd be cool if that did happen. But I think the system itself should be more dynamic than that, and just having a social animation is gonna kind of not gonna be the fix. It is the least dynamic option, but still would be cool to have, of course. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Another cool one is here is combat and hostility. So you can see this is an animation test. So let's have a look at. So the animations are triggered manually. So you can see that one's triggered a bite. So you can see how they're moving away from each other, forcing it to back down. So combat is being designed as a dynamic system, making use of triggerable attacks and additive animations. This will allow the animals to injure each other while moving around and performing actions such as biting or horn stabs. It's important for us to prioritize not only the scalpability of aggressive interactions among species, but consider the size of our team too. Going dynamic is that we can build something that's variable and potentially more reactive at a lower cost, rather than something built about hundreds of cinematic, but ultimately predictable animations. So, not going the JWE route and going more like the other more dynamic route, which is interesting. And that in mind, here are some mock-up images using our current library of prototype animations. They depict an incoming attack, bite, and hit reaction. So you can see there's a mock-up image. You can see that's a T-Rex and, going ready for the bite. Another one there. It's kind of, bite, and the other one's a reaction there. And you can see also below here is an animation test demonstrating how a threat pose could be combined with locomotion, and various attacks can create an appearance of an angry animal. Keep in mind that combat is still in such an early pre-production stage that we're not worried about polish or making it overly sophisticated yet. We just need animations to test. You can see what's going on here. So here's the threaten pose, getting ready for the fight. Roar, be like, get away, mate. You got the bite. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty good. And the lunge. I like the lunge. Another bite. Yeah, there'd be some kind of system like that. There's a lot of research, trial, and development, I guess I say, before we find a definitive path forward that's achievable for us. So he asks that you keep in expectations of a combat and hunting measures. So not going to be fully dynamic hunting, of course, because this is a zoo game, not a nature simulation game. But obviously, being animals and putting them together, they should have some sort of fighting behaviors. So I think that's quite good, and I prefer that over the JWE way. But yeah, the really cool thing to look forward to. I'm very excited to see that. So next up, we've got Paleobotany. So this may not surprise you, but a lot of prehistoric plants are only known from leaves. We have been working with Tom Parker, scientific illustration author, who worked on Saurian. I do remember Tom, I've met him before, quite cool guy, to ensure that our interpretations are scientifically plausible. For many species, prehistoric kingdom will be the first time some of these plants have been reconstructed in 3D, so that's another really cool, feather in the cap. All 8 in-game biomes will offer paleobotany, though a majority of species will go towards scrubland, tropical, wetland, and coastal. So paleobotany is currently planned to feature about 30 extinct species of foliage when it's finished, including fan favourites such as acacia, which are monkey puzzle, camarilla or zelmites, and ginkgos. And below you can see our first assets created for the coastal biome. So this is another extinct species of plant. Cornoteras, if you say that. So that's a really, really cool fern. Really, really nice looking fern. Some more kind of plants there. Eobowinia. Paleobotany is so cool. But I just don't know much about plants. Nissolumnia, so it's another really cool type of like fern cycad by the looks of it. Another cool one. Topides, another type of fern. You can see it reminds me a lot of a silver fern, but yeah, really, really cool there. For ginkgo trees, we have two different species. So one is from the Jurassic, or Ginkgo yemenensis, and the other is from the Cretaceous, Ginkgo adontensis. It's incredible to think that geckos date all the way back to the Carboniferous, which is 300 million years ago, before the dinosaurs. We decided to give them unique growth habits to better align them to the coastal and temperate biome, with added benefit of increasing their visual diversity. So you can see this is the coastal Jurassic species. You can see the ginkgo tree there, and then the other species is the temperate Cretaceous one. So yeah, you can see a little bit of difference there, and I think adds a little bit as well. In terms of gameplay, we plan to create unique dig sites specifically for paleobotany. They'll be scattered across the world, much like our animals are. Placing compatible paleobotany within a habitat will not only provide enrichment for the animals, but increase animal rate points as well, and will continue to show more plants coming with paleobotany as the year progresses. So I think that's quite cool, adding almost like the interspecies bonus, so getting a bonus if you hold animals with the correct plants and the correct animals in their ecosystem or their formation. So I think that's another cool little thing to add there, like another way to encourage you to do those kind of things, which is really cool. But yeah, we've also got kind of a mixed amount there, so you can see all the different. That looks straight out of like a Cretaceous or even Carboniferous forest. It looks brilliant. Love paleobotany. It's going to really give a nice look to our parks, which is quite cool. And then we've got another really cool one here. This one I'm really excited about. We have got terrariums. So we can see here we've got Archaeopteryx, which will again need some changes. So terrariums will be an upcoming set of modules. They'll be replacing the existing mini exhibit system, acting as sort of a rebrand of sorts. So like before, these facilities will have simplified versions of animals that would otherwise be difficult to integrate into regular habitats, usually due to their size, unique or locomotion, or ontogeny requirements. So our goal with terrariums is to better integrate them into regular gameplay, expand on their customization, and revisit their pipeline so it's easy to set up new species. So basically we don't want them to end up like the exhibits in Planet Zoo. That's the best way to put it. And I think they did a good job of avoiding that, which I'll get into. So we've got configurations. So terrariums will have 3 configurations to switch between: amphibious, arboreal, and terrestrial. Each configuration will change the inside of the tank, making it more comfortable for your chosen species. So amphibious will have a shallow pool and terrain for semi-aquatic animals, so that's like frogs, small crocodiles, animals like that. Arboreal will have trees set for arboreal animals to perch and jump between, potentially fly, so I imagine things like Archaeopteryx and things would use that, and also Microraptor, which is already in the game. And terrestrial, which has elevated terrain with viewable burrows. I love the viewable burrows part, for the animals to hide inside. So each of these configurations have a small and large version, so a 4 by 8, so 4 meters by 8 meters, and a large 8 by 12 meters, which is a version which replaces the current mini aviary. The small version will be especially great for custom reptile houses or adding little installations throughout the park, so I think that'll be quite cool. Especially the smaller one. And the big one is also quite good too, so you can see this is an early design. Super duper early rough mock-up, and note there's a tiny Coelophysis that's not going to be final at all, but I love the idea of having the burrows in there and having it pretty much be blank slate so you can add your own plants and things like that and really make it yours, and then using modulars to decorate the small terrarium, so you can have that going on there. Players will need to set terrariums to use the right substrate, climate settings, and provide enrichment in order to satisfy the animals in terrariums. So similar to Planet Zoo in that regard. Beyond these few options, we're planning to keep the inside sparse so players can go crazy adding their own foliage and create dedicated terrarium prefabs, which will be quite awesome. That's kind of what's really good, I think, Prehistoric Kingdom's doing. There will also be null styling for further flexibility, allowing players to visually combine multiple terrariums or sink them into the ground. So I think that's going to be another really cool one. So if you sink them into the ground, you won't be able to see the burrows, but you can, have the animals on the ground for people to look at. And being able to combine them, you can create like a big style terrarium, which I think would actually be bloody amazing. I think that would be quite awesome. You can create like a nocturnal house and then have like a, bunch of them around. I really love the idea of like a knock house, something like that. And be able to combine them, you can make something that's not just the box. You can have like a little bit more of a cooler design enclosure that's not just the box. So I think this is a really good way of having the terrariums and doing it in a way that it still allows that creativity and just having the null version. Much better than how Planet Zoo did it. And in terms of management, keepers will need to supply terrariums with food and clean them in order to keep your animals happy and healthy. And when diseases are added, terrarium animals will get sick too. So that's another good management as well. So what animals will be living in these terrariums? So regarding animals, Archaeopteryx and Microraptor will be joined by Compsognathus, Tiktaalik, and Yi-Chi, and more will be revealed later in the year. Since these critters are rebanded as terrestrial animals, it certainly opens the door for some larger species. So see, there's definitely some bigger animals that could come into these things, because remember they are 12 meters at maximum, so some of the bigger ones could hold some bigger animals. So you can see here's a design for Compsognathus, which I do really quite like. Another nice, really good design there. It shows you the size of them, which is pretty much, you could say that small Coelophysis is pretty much a stand-in for Compsognathus, and looks quite nice in there. We've also got Tiktaalik, everyone's favourite early fish. The one in all the memes that says get back in the water. It's like, why did you leave the water, get back? Well, they held a gun to it. There's a great meme animal, but yeah, Tiktaalik is a really cool animal, and I'm really glad it's making to the game with some awesome colours. And then we've got the Yi-Chi, which was another really cool one from recently. Of the male and the female, so we are getting sexual dimorphism, which is quite cool. From what has been said on the Discord, I think Mal said something about it recently. Basically, these terrariums will they'll, instead of having multiple skins, it'll be one animal with the skin, and they just won't have things like combat or ontogeny and things like that. So it's just going to be the adult, and that's it. Be another cool. That's for the arboreal ones, I imagine. The Microraptor and Archaeopteryx will be in arboreal, and then the rest will kind of come around. So yeah, that's quite cool. Even more, so this has definitely got more here. So got some flat rides. So inspired by real-world zoos and fun fairs, we're beginning to look into potential flat rides to add to Prehistoric Kingdom. These researchable modules would add significant amount of attraction points to the park rating, giving guests something to do when they're not watching animals behind fences. So this is something a lot of and obviously zoos have. They'll have some kind of rides or theatres or things like that, or just things, because a lot of zoos, especially like more theme parky zoos, like Disney's Animal Kingdom or SeaWorld would have, have rides. Even some more traditional zoos will have some sort of ride, like safaris or potentially, like a monorail that goes through the zoo. So basically that covers that niche, which is cool. In particular, we've been considering a Ferris wheel, theatre or hot air balloon that would float straight up and have a good view of your park. Something like, San Diego Zoo Safari Park has, stuff like that, like a zip line or a big balloon that you can look over the park, which is cool. If you have any suggestions that would fit the game's tone, we'd love to hear them. I think there's a lot that could, simple monorail type, like some zoos. I think there's one in a Bronx Zoo in Asia where they have something, a Bronx Zoo, something of Asia, I think the exhibit's called, where they have a big monorail going through it. A few other zoos with that, so kind of monorail. And you have the theatre, balloons, zip lines, basically most attractions that you get in theme parks I think would do quite well. So you can see some of these pictures here just kind of for inspiration, which is quite cool. And you can see the year there. Really, really cool. Alright. So that's it for today. We're going to have a look at the community spotlight. So we've got Green Godzilla with this really cute picture of the two Megaloceros having a sleep together. It's really cute. WB. I really like this one, the keeper in there. I really hope there's some way, I think this is, I don't know if this is planned, but I think it'd be really cool if we had some way for dangerous, dangerous animals. There maybe have to be like a way for people to get their enclosure, like maybe some extra protection or something, just to add a little bit more realism instead of having just keepers walking around the enclosure. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but I think that would be quite cool. And even bigger enclosures as well, because if we've got sauropods, it'd be cool to have some sort of vehicle or something that they can get in and use for protection from bigger animals and get around big enclosures, which you need for those big animals. And then we've got this really cute one by Roundtable. I love this one. This is a really cute one with an Ankylosaurus sleeping and the people watching. I'd really love the idea of doing, like, when they get crown sloths, I'd love the idea of having a burrow. So, like, having, like, something like Megatherium or something. And you could have, like, a cave, which is basically just a burrow. Because there's some zoos that will have, like, a half view into the burrow, like the Terrarium has, but I'd like a giant version of that for a ground sloth. So that would be a really cool concept for an enclosure. Be really, really cool there. So, thank you for reading January's Dev Diary. As you see, there is a lot of great stuff in the works, but the future of Prehistoric Kingdom is uncertain. Any extra support that we can get would be extremely appreciated to keep the game going. So in the meantime, we'll be releasing progress summaries on Patreon, with the next Dev Diary releasing at the end of February. Thank you again for all your support through this. So yeah, until next time, the PK team. So yeah, really a lot to say about this. So this really was more just a rundown of what's the plan, and a lot of really cool things. I love the terrariums. I love the Paleobotany system. I love the kind of fighting. I think the fighting is going to be quite a good one as well. And ontogeny is of course going to be great. First person, awesome. So there are a lot of really cool things that'll be coming quite soon. In Update 14, and then these kind of bigger things like Paleobotany and the Terrariums. I think they're all going to be really, really awesome. So the future PK is actually looking pretty bright, as long as people support them on Patreon, and definitely do support them on Patreon. You will get benefits, like extra, little benefits and things, like early access and things like that. So yeah, that's quite cool. But yeah, I think that's enough from me. You probably heard enough of me talking. But yeah, I really, really, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified below anything. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.